Welcome to the G.L.O.E podcast, where we talk all things God, life, the ups and downs, organization, because chaos is not cute, and entrepreneurship, aka chasing those dreams. Here, we glow boldly and live purposefully. I'm your host, Angel, and around here, we keep it real, mixing faith, strategy, and a few laughs along the way. Whether you're trying to get your business together, organize your life, or just need a little motivation, you're in the right place. If you've been hanging around for a while, welcome back, and I hope you bought a friend. If you're new here, welcome. Get comfy and stay a while. Today, I am chatting with Denise Flippen. Denise is a mother of four and a woman of faith. Denise is a faith care coach who is passionate about empowering women to overcome adversity by love, grace, and faith. Everyone, let's welcome Denise. Hi, Denise. How are you?
Hey, honey bunches. I am well.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else you would like to share with us today?
No, I'm just excited to be sitting here having this conversation with you and just tapping into your audience and just, experiencing you as you experience me.
Well, Denise and I were introduced through another guest who I had on the show. She thought that we should connect. So here we are connecting and chatting, and we had a chat before this like a couple of weeks ago and decided that it was a good fit. So here we are. So we're just going to dive right into it. So Denise, what is a faith care coach? Like, I've talked to a lot of coaches on here, but never a faith care coach.
Baby, let me tell you, a faith care coach, I think all of us need one, okay? A faith care coach is someone who helps you navigate the complexities of life by faith. When God calls us to do a variety of things, a lot of times it does not make sense to us. It definitely doesn't make sense to the people around us, but we have to do them anyways. And it is amazing to have someone that, rather they get it, understand it or not, but that supports you in the things that God is calling forth from you, that's going to hold you accountable to the words that God is speaking into your life and helping you to navigate through the complexities and the adversity that is going to come your way when God is releasing a word for you to release something in the earth.
Okay. So how does one become a faith care coach?
Oh, Lord, that's really good. So I coined it a faith care coach because of my own experiences. I've navigated life, just grew up in the church and like all of that great stuff, and never felt that I fit or belong anywhere. Very religious communities. No one really walking in a way that represented God, his sovereignty. There was a box of rules and regulations and things of that nature. God was boxed in, and I didn't fit inside their boxes. So I thought that I was deemed unacceptable to the Lord. However, I could not deny the existence of God. And so in 2015, God spoke to me and began to give me instructions. And as I began to be obedient to the instructions, my family and the church communities called me crazy, called me delusional. God will never call you to do this. God wouldn't call you to live like this. God wouldn't, like all of these things. But I could not resist the calling. I couldn't resist the calling. I couldn't resist. I had to be obedient. It was a pulling at my soul. And so as I continued to navigate through the process, there was a lot of adversity. And most of the adversity was the fact that nobody understood. Nobody got it. I was attacked a lot because nobody understood the decisions that I was making. It didn't make sense to them. And so the faith care coach came about because I needed to be for others what I needed for me in that time. And so becoming a faith care coach, first, you have to be willing to walk by faith. You have to be willing to walk alongside someone who has literally walked by faith to understand the process, to understand the journey, so that you, without a judgmental heart, can navigate through walking alongside someone else. And so I don't have like this list of trainings and things that you need to do. You just have to be one who live it. And you have to live by faith in order to help someone else navigate through living by faith.
Okay. will you share with the audience the story about how you named your business?
Ooh. So it's interesting. When God called me, I began visiting this church, and the church was actually really amazing for what I needed at that time. And while I was in the church, I started attending a Bible study, and it was a group of us girls. It was probably like 7 to 10 of us. And we would do these Bible studies. And once the Bible studies were over, we would hang out at each other's houses every week. Someone would host at their home, and we would do different things. Well, one of the ladies in the group did not care for me. And I could not understand why. Like, she did not like me. She would always make little snarky remarks and things of that nature when I would speak. And I'm like, is it me or, whatnot? But then the other girls began to pick up on it as well. As we began to move forward, we were having a New Year's party at the church. And I asked her, I said, can we have a conversation before we bring in the New Year? She never got with me. So on New Year's, she actually tried to have the conversation with me like a few seconds before the ball dropped. And at that point, I kind of like blew up. I was like, get out my face. And it wasn't having a conversation where she was taking accountability. She was having a conversation saying, well, you be doing this and you do that. You do. It was like this attack. And I hear 10, 9, 8. And I'm like,
No.
this was not the way that I planned to bring in my New Year. And I kind of like, get up out my face right now before you see a whole nother side of me, like right now. And so the group wind up dismantling. She was also working for a huge healthcare network that is in my hometown. And I was a patient at this healthcare this healthcare facility. So I was seeing my doctor, and my doctor recommended, because of our conversation, she recommended that I serve on the board. And I got a meeting with the board, the president of the board, and we had these great conversations, and she was going to get back to me, and I heard nothing back. So I'm like, what's going on? So I see my doctor, and I'm like, yo, such and such never got back to me. I don't know what's happening. And she says, well, because, and she refers to the woman, I won't share her name, but she said, when the message went out that they were going to bring you on to interview with the entire board, she sent out a message just saying all kind of negative things about me. And because there was this big thing of even my doctor and her going back and forth, and they decided not to move forward with me. And so I'm like, wow. Now move forward a little bit further. We wound up at the same church again. She's a part of a church plant that God told me to go serve, and I'm assisting with the church plant. And one day she reached out to me and she said, hey girl, we should get up and do lunch. And I said, no. Absolutely not. Do you? She's like, I said, our business is only the journey business. That's it. No. And God began to convict me, and he said, go talk to her. Go have a conversation with her. And because she said, well, I've been knowing you since before the journey. We went to such and such church together, and and I said, yeah, and you don't remember what happened? I'm confused. And so I wound up reaching out to her and said that we could have a conversation. And I went to her home, and we sat down and had a
You went to
conversation.
her house?
I went to her house.
Oh, you were bold. You were
Yeah.
bold. See, my mom would have been like, why she want me to come to her house? We need to meet on public ground where there are a lot of witnesses around. There are people around. Somebody going to hear me if I yell for help. Like,
Girl, well, I'm kind of a thug, so I knew that I wasn't worried about none of that.
okay, okay.
So yeah, I went to her house. It was my first time at her house too. I went to her house, and we sat on her patio, and we had a conversation. And I let her know all the things. I reminded her about what happened when we was at the other church. I let her know that I knew that she was the reason that I did not get the board position with the healthcare organization. And her response to me was one of accountability that she did not have when I first tried to have a conversation with her years prior. This conversation, she said, she acknowledged what she did. She accepted accountability. And she said, the truth of the matter is, you are so young. And I never seen someone so young on fire for God the way that you are. She said, and honestly, I wish I had flipping faith. And I was like, that got a nice little ring to it. She said, I wish I had flipping faith. And so I didn't think much of it that day, and our relationship got so much better after that. We did start hanging out. When I began traveling, she threw my going away party at her home. We wound up developing a really decent relationship, and we stayed in contact for some years afterwards. But in 2019, when I was in Georgia, God began to give me a vision and of what I was called to do. And the name came back to me, Flippin' Faith. And so Flippin' Faith Services was then birthed.
Okay. I love that whole story, except for the fact where you went to her house, because again, like, no, mm-mm. No ma'am, no sir, no, we not gonna do that. Like I said, we gonna meet at a public place. We gonna meet in the middle of the mall, the farmers market, the police station, like somewhere. And ma'am, I just don't. I don't trust it. I don't trust you. You this little fishy, but
Yeah.
everything worked out. So that I love the story. Everything worked out great. So that's cool that you two are you two still in contact today?
No, I haven't spoke to her in years. We're still connected on LinkedIn, so I see some of the things that she has going on and things that's happening in the community because she's a community advocate. But we don't have any conversation. Nothing happened. Just
Yeah.
life.
It was,
Just
that whole reason, season, like lifetime thing. And she came into your life for a reason and a season. And now that time is over with. It's done. But like you said, there's no love lost there, anything like that. It was time to move
yes,
on. So
yes, ma'am.
okay. All right. Flipping faith. I love it. So,
Thank you.
how can one overcome adversity? Because I know, again, on our coffee chat, we talked about like some different things. I know we're both um in South Carolina. We're in two different cities, but you told me like how you moved, how from New York, right?
So I'm from Buffalo, New York, and I
Mhm.
started traveling a lot in 2018. I'm telling you, God had me everywhere. Like I was in North Carolina, I'm in Georgia one minute, Florida one day, back to Buffalo the next. And so I did a lot of traveling. I relocated to Gulfport, Mississippi in 2022. And now I just got here to Florence, South Carolina in April of last year.
Okay.
So this walking by faith journey is one, like God doesn't allow me to prepare. God says, get up and go. God had gave me the word years ago that I needed to pack light. So I got rid of, like, when I first came into Christ, he had me to give up the home. I had 2 vehicles, give up the cars. I owned a house in Lackawanna. He told me to give that away. Like, God had stripped me down to where my kids moved in with their dad. God had stripped me down to where I could jump on a plane and be across the world in the blink of an eye at just his word. And so I wind up buying a small vehicle, and God would have me go into these different places, and always there would be some type of assignment connected to it. However, the biggest assignment was me. The biggest assignment was me. God was shaping me and developing me into who he needed me to be in order to propel what he's releasing in the earth. And so I traveled quite a bit. God would say, get up and go. I wouldn't have full understanding. A lot of times I didn't agree or I didn't want to. Nevertheless, sometimes I was in that garden crying, pleading, begging. No, I don't want to go. But but I would get to that place of nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. And I would become obedient to his instructions. This move to Florence, I was working as assistant center manager for CSL Plasma in Gulfport, Mississippi, and God said, you're done. I had just bought my car, got a car note, $700 car note. Lord,
Ooh.
like, yeah, baby. And God says, quit the job. I would have never got the car if I would have knew you were going to call me to quit this job. But he knew that. He knew that. And so he knew that he couldn't give me that information prior because I would have been scared to make certain decisions. And so it was shortly after I bought the car that God said, quit the job. And then he said, I need you to leave. And the date was April 12th. He said he needed me out of there April 12th. And God had gave me the word probably around April 1st, like a little bit before April 1st. So that wasn't like time to prepare. I had quit the job like the last week of March. I had quit the job like the last week of March, and I was out of the house by April 12th and living in my car in Florence, South Carolina. And I'm so glad. I'm so happy that I was obedient, because now I'm starting to see why I'm here. I'm starting to see all the things that God has entrusted with me with over the years starting to blossom. They had been in seed form, and they're starting to sprout up with little seedlings.
Okay.
And so God has told me that he's planning me and he's establishing me here. And that means that all the things that is connected to me as well. And so I'm just excited to be able to share pieces of me with the South Carolina area.
Yeah, I know we talk sometimes. We be talking to guys, and we like, what is going on here? I mean, are you sure about this? Because I just don't think this is right. And I remember us talking about that. I actually had a conversation with him the other day. I don't even remember what it was, but I was just talking. I just stopped talking. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I guess I'm gonna be quiet now, since you had your say, and then that was it.
That's it.
Yeah, that was it. I was like, so we done now? You don't have any? I was like, oh, cool. All right, guess I'll go be quiet. I'll go sit in the child's place now.
Well, the reality is a lot of times we do a lot of talking and we don't listen to what God has to say,
Yeah.
because we're consistently talking. And the reality is that we're supposed to release to God our burdens, but then take upon his yoke. So we release it. We're not just battling to where we can't receive what he's saying, because a lot of times we'll talk, and then get up and go. But you haven't sat there to hear what he has to say. He says, give me your burden and take upon my yoke. It's an exchange. And that exchange has to happen. I'm reminded of David when his son was sick and he was pleading and he was fasting and he was asking God to heal his son and for restoration and things of that nature. But once God's word went forth, once God did what he did, it was no need to stay in that position. He got up, put his clothes on, washed up, put his clothes on, and said, bring me something to eat. I'm hungry.
Right.
I'm hungry.
Right.
And they were afraid of what his behavior was going to be. But once God speaks, once God moves, that's just what it is. We have to find a way to come into alignment with that. Me and God is going through some things right now because I'm not fully understanding some situations he got me in currently that I'm like, Lord, something got to move, something got to shake. And a lot of times I want to take matters into my own hand, but God has never failed me. I may not like how or when he came through, but he has always come through. And that's it for me. That regardless if I like it, regardless if I understand, I know that in the end it is beautiful. The path that we have to travel may be challenging, but God's will is beautiful.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it definitely is. And I have a problem with sometimes trying to take matters into my own hands. I'm doing a lot better with not trying to take matters into my own hand. I slip up sometimes and I'm like, oh, I probably wasn't supposed to do that, was I? My bad. I'm like, I hope this didn't set me back. I felt like we was making some progress. And I'm like, I hope this didn't put me, like 10 steps back. I'm sorry about that. So I was like, I'm gonna do better next time. And I had an issue for the longest time with, like you said, I would, talk to him, and then I'd be like, all right, cool, I'm done. I talked, and I get up and go. And a few years ago, I was listening to something on YouTube, and then it played like the next video, and I can't even remember who it was by, but it was just like this clip, I think, of someone's podcast. And it was saying, it's like, you don't know what you're supposed to do because you talk to God, you ask him, for what you need, you tell him what's going on. And then before he can respond to you, you done got up and you done moved on to the next thing, or you doing the next thing. And then, later you're like, well, God, you haven't talked back to me, or you haven't told me what's going on. He's like, I tried to, but you went and clogged your mind full of whatever it was, so you didn't hear me. And I was like, oh yeah, I do that a lot. So that's something that I've been like really conscious of, is that like talking and making sure that I listen. And I will say that sometimes I'm like, well, I've been listening for about 5 minutes here and you haven't said anything. Like, how long do you want me to listen? Am I just supposed to sit here quietly? Like, what's going on? So I have those interactions as well sometimes, but.
Well, the reality is that scripture talks about, and I say that word, the reality is, oh my God, I just noticed that. Well, one of the scripture talks about how we're supposed to pray without ceasing. What does that look like? And so I was telling my sister the other day, I said, I don't pray in the way that people pray. Like, my life is communication with God. Like literally, my entire life is communication with God. As I'm sitting here having conversation with you, I'm also in conversation with the Lord. I'm seeking what I need to be releasing. What should I not be releasing? Is there anything that your people need to hear? Like I'm always, is there a word, a message that needs to go forth? I'm always in that posture, even while I'm having conversations with other people. So I'm consistently in a posture of prayer as I'm navigating through life. And so I can go the only time I look like praying, and it doesn't even look like praying then, because sometimes it's in the shower. I'm like, Lord, you know, sometimes I'm in my bed and I'm pounding on the blankets, and sometimes when I'm literally just talking to God and just releasing this burden, it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look like, Father God, in the name of Jesus, I am just. It does not look like that.
Oh no,
it looks like nothing. It does. Oh God, I'm coming to you so humbly, and so that's not me. I'm like, yo, dude, what's going on? I don't even understand what's moving, what's shaking, like what you got? Listen, what's happening, partner? I'm like that with God. And so even after I release that, I don't sit there and wait for him to speak. I get up, I'm moving, and I begin to see things. And he's communicating with me in all kind of ways. Sometimes he's speaking directly to me, to my spirit. Sometimes it may be a billboard that I may see. Sometimes it is through a Facebook or Instagram post or a TikTok. Sometimes it's through a conversation with someone else. Sometimes it's when I open up the scriptures and begin to read something, it jumps out at me. Sometimes it's looking at the grass or the trees. Sometimes it's a bird that is humming as it's going by. It's all kind of things. It may be a snake in a rope. It's all kind of things that God will begin to speak to me about the question that I am asking. You just have to navigate through life with an open heart posture to hear what he has to say. And a lot of times God speaks, but we're not obedient or we're not ready to receive what he has to say. And so then God begins to get quiet, because why would I release something to you that you're not even going to accept? I remember God got to this place where I was about to go, my church was having 2 services this Sunday, and God was dealing with me about going back into the church because I really did not want to. I'm not a church girl whatsoever. That is not my heart posture, the church. I believe that we are the church. And God began to deal with me as far as seeing this particular church as an organization that truly does meet the needs of his people. And so he wants me to go alongside and be supportive to the mission that they are propelling. It's not for this place of I need to be fed, because God does that for me, but I'm going in to be a support of the people who are there feeding. And so I went to one service, and God had been giving me a word about submitting to the leader. And I'm like, I don't submit to nobody. I submit to the Lord, literally. I'm not like rebellious or trying to fight with people. I allow people to be. I stay out the way. I release thus said the Lord, and I move around. Like I don't, you know what I'm saying? So when he's saying to submit to this leader, I don't know how. And I had been crying, and I had been battling with God, because God, has been me and you doing this thing for I don't know how long. I don't know how to bring somebody else into this intimacy. And the church was having a second service, and I was about to go to the second service, and God said, no, you're not going to the second service. He says, you don't need not another word. You need to work the word that I gave you. And until you are in a position to where you can work the word that I gave you, then you don't need to be anywhere trying to get anything else. And I'm like, and I got back on my couch, and I continue crying. I don't want to. No. I don't want to go. Right back to it, because I wasn't done. I was trying to get up and move on, but nothing had been completed. And God could not allow me to move on until this was complete. My ability to submit to leadership. And so I get married. I'm getting married on Saturday. And I truly believe.
This Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, y'all. So we're recording on February 19th. So this Saturday is what, the 22nd?
The 22nd.
Okay, you did not tell me this in our coffee chat, but I'm gonna let you go ahead. Congratulations.
Well, because it's not an actual wedding, I have an issue with commitment. I like to feel safety feels like my ability to leave.
Okay.
If I don't feel good here, if I don't like this space, deuces, I ain't got to be here. I ain't got to do this. Marriage is a commitment. I believe in that commitment and all of those things, right? Because when we are in relationship with a person, we're not just in relationship with their spirit man. We are in relationship with their humanity as well. And a lot of times when we see their humanity or when we see their fallenness or we see their brokenness, we'll be like, I ain't got to deal with this. At least for me, I ain't got to deal with this. I could just move on around. And for marriage is that commitment that even when I see that brokenness, that I'm going to be here with you through it. I'm going to support you through it. I'm going to love you through it. I'm going to love you to the other side. And God straight up says, he said, you don't get the benefit of reaping. You don't get to reap the benefits of this husband without making the commitment. And that wasn't something that God said to him. It was something that God said to me because he had been ready. And I was the one saying, yeah, I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that, bro. And so we're getting married Saturday, February.
Congratulations.
24th. Thank you. And we're not having a wedding. It's just a marriage. Now we get to celebrate on the other side. We will. At some point, we'll have a celebration of what we were able to accomplish as a couple, as a unit. There'll be celebrations for that. But for the fact of getting married, no. It's the commitment. And the commitment looks like death. It looks like death. And I have been feeling every bit of it because I'm dying to this independent woman who has the right to say no, or who has the right to be like, I could walk away. I ain't got to do this. Dying to that independence so that I can become one with someone else. And it doesn't feel good. I know that it's beautiful and I'm looking forward to all the things that we're going to accomplish. But that dying part, while you know death, I know death is beautiful. It does not feel good.
It's a change. It's something different. Like you said, you're used to being on your own. You're used to being this independent woman, and I can get up and go. And God kind of prepared you for that, for being able to like get up and go. So that's what you're used to. That's what's in your mind. Yeah. So
everything, it is everything.
You said something earlier that stuck out to me. You said that like sometimes, like when you're talking to God and he doesn't always respond back, but it'll be like a Facebook post or like a quote or a text or something. That happens to me all the time. Like I'll be praying or I'll do my Bible time or something. I'll just be over there because I'm a lot like you. At first I thought that the only way to talk to God was, like you said, down on your knees praying, and it had to be like you had to say like these certain things. And then as I got older and I grew like more in my faith and stuff over these last few years, I'm like, oh no, you can just talk to him like you're talking to a regular person. So I'm like you in the shower or driving down the street in my car, or sometimes I'll be in the middle of doing something and I write in my prayer journal a lot. I've said it before, anybody ever gets a hold of my prayer journal, they'll be like, who is she talking to in this prayer journal? Cause it's like, cause I'm talking, but I'm also like responding because I hear him. And they'll be like, who is she talking to? And it has been happening to me so much lately that like I'll pray about something, or either there's like something on my mind, or I've forgotten that, I've talked to God about it, and somebody will send me a text message and I'm like, oh, okay, God, so this is what we doing. Or like you said, I'll see a post or something. I'm like, oh, so just like that, huh? Or just before we got on the call, I was checking my Instagram messages and someone had sent me a message, and it was like something me and God talked about like yesterday, the day before, or I talked, and I'm like, so this is what we doing today, huh? I'm like, oh, okay. You couldn't have just been nice and subtle and answered me in a nice way. You just want to boom, throw it in my face. Like, yeah. So I get that. quite a lot. And usually my response is, so this is what we doing today, huh? I'm like, okay, so you woke up choosing violence. Cool. I got you. At least I know the game that we're playing today, and I know how to move accordingly. So that happens to me quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
Well, Denise, is there anything else that you would like to share before we go?
I will share that I have some amazing opportunities that are coming up that I'm excited about, because I'm excited on how God is calling us to collaborate with one another in the kingdom in this season. It's not about competition. Competition has been the thing for so long, but in the kingdom, it is simply collaboration. And I've connected with these women, Dr. LaKoya and Jade Avery, and we formed what is called G.L.O.E. And G.L.O.E means godly vision, leveraging your gift, skills, and talents, creating an orchestrated exit strategy as you're transitioning from one area to the next, walking by faith daily, and seeking wise counsel and support. And so we have this G.L.O.E community where that's how we support women in those areas, because we believe that every woman should glow in every area of her life. And so we're just now launching into working with women leaders. We're trying to connect with women leaders so that we could tap into their communities and help them to support the women that they serve with those godly visions and knowing how to navigate creating these specific goals so that they can lay a hold of the vision, the purpose, the promises that God has for their lives. So that's one of the biggest things that I'm working on right now. And I'm really, really, really excited. So if anybody wanted information pertaining to that, you can find us at the G.L.O.E community on Facebook, or G.L.O.E.community is our website. So I'm excited about that moving forward.
Oh, and if people want to connect with you, where can they find you at?
I'm on Facebook, Clubhouse, Instagram. It's Denise Flippen. My website is flippenfaith.services, where you can find a bunch of things that I have going on. I'm working to provide some amazing things for the communities that I serve, and would love to connect and collaborate with a variety of people to make sure that we are propelling the kingdom here on earth.
That's it for today's episode of the G.L.O.E podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're walking away with something that fuels your journey. And remember, glow boldly, live purposefully, and I'll talk to you next time. Y'all know I run on coffee, and so does the show. If you want to keep the episodes flowing, head over to buymeacoffee.com/themodcosc. Whether it's a one-time boost or monthly support, every cup helps keep this podcast going.